When they heard the man's words, the onlookers who were about to leave stopped and turned their attention back to the stage. "Someone wants to challenge for the position of captain, huh? He's really brave," someone in the crowd said. The young Rosarks also stopped and stayed in the arena. They smirked at each other. If this man wanted to challenge them, they wouldn't go easy on him. Zin was also quite surprised that someone wanted to try to become captain. His eyes fell on the man who had spoken, who was called Robel. He had noticed his performance in the arena, and although he had done well and was among the most skilled of the 20 who had passed the test, he was only at level 2 of the acquired stage. "Do you really want to challenge for this position?" Zin asked. "It's good to be competitive, but it won't be easy to become captain." Even the weakest of the young Rosarks was at level 4 of the acquired stage. Although Robel was considered to be at the top of the group of new guards, it would take a miracle for him to defeat any of the young Rosarks. Robel seemed to be trembling under Zin's gaze, but he didn't dare look directly at him. But he thought about the benefits that would come with being the captain of the Black Squadron. He was also distantly related to the Rosark family, so he wasn't afraid of offending the vice commander. Robel gritted his teeth and said, "Don't tell me that the Rosark family would go back on their word. At least let me try." Some people in the crowd started to jeer and boo at the idea of the Rosark family not doing what they had said. "Let him do the challenge," one person shouted. "The Rosark family can't break their promise," someone agreed. After sweeping his gaze over the noisy crowd, Zin looked at Robel. "Fine," he said. "Which prince or princess of the Rosark family do you want to challenge?" Robel swallowed nervously and looked at the dozen young Rosarks who were staring at him. Then he suddenly turned around and looked directly at the purple-robed youth in the crowd. He pointed at him and asked, "He is also a prince of the Rosark family, right?" Everyone's eyes fell on the young man in the purple robe. The expressions of the other members of the Rosark family were the first to change as they recognized Cahir. No one had noticed him join the crowd because of how many people there were. As the others in the crowd looked at Cahir, they realized that the elusive foolish warrior was among them. Zin's face twitched when he saw Cahir, who had appeared out of nowhere. He frowned and said to Robel, "That's right, that's Prince Cahir Rosark." "He's the prince I want to challenge today," Robel said. "If I win, I should get to be the captain of the guards." He smiled at Cahir. He was well aware of the situation in the Rosark family, and he thought that Cahir's presence in the crowd was like a gift to him. Although it was a bit shameless to challenge a fool, the most important thing was to think of the benefits he would receive after becoming the captain. Even if he was scolded for his methods, Robel didn't care. He would do anything necessary to become captain. The other members of the Rosark family who were present immediately protested. "What? It's shameful to challenge Cahir." Everyone knew that in addition to being a fool, Cahir was unable to practice martial arts. But the people in the crowd were on Robel's side. "It might be wrong of Robel to challenge Cahir, but this time the Rosarks really can't defend themselves. The members of the Rosark family don't have any courage. They should just let Robel be captain of the Black Squadron." "Robel, good job! Stick it to the Rosark family!" The people yelling made sure to stay hidden in the crowd, as they didn't want to be called out for causing trouble and get punished by the Rosarks. On the other hand, the young Rosarks talked quietly amongst themselves. "That fool! Why did he come down from the mountain today of all days? He's going to bring disaster upon our entire family. What should we do now?" Even if Cahir was a fool, he was still a prince of the Rosark family. If he were to be defeated by a guard in a single move, it would be a great blow to the Rosark family's dignity and reputation. Zin couldn't believe Robel had chosen Cahir to fight. He was the one in charge of recruiting new guards, and if the reputation of the Rosark family was harmed in any way by that day's events, it was likely that his position as vice commander would be in jeopardy. But he didn't see how he could refuse Robel's request. Cahir had been about to leave when everyone looked at him. He looked up at the stage. "Who called me? Is someone looking for me?" he asked. Robel discreetly scanned the faces of the other Rozark family members present and saw that his distant relatives were among them. He didn't show any expression on his face, but his courage grew, and he looked at Cahir. "Young prince, please come to the arena." His eyes didn't have the same reverence as when he looked at other people from the Rozark family. Instead, he smirked sarcastically. Cahir was stunned as understanding dawned on him. "You want to challenge me?" He smiled as he said. "That's not good. You should challenge the weakest of my cousins instead, and you might have a chance." Hearing Cahir's words, some members of the Rozark family looked at him with surprise. Then they started whispering to each other. "The foolish warrior is speaking up today. Is he really a fool, or is he just pretending? Those don't sound like the words of a fool." Robel stared at Cahir and listened to the noise all around. His confidence continued to increase. He had heard from his distant relatives that this foolish warrior couldn't practice martial arts and had no position in the Rozark family, so he was unafraid of offending Cahir. He laughed loudly. "Are you too scared to fight me? If that's the case, I guess I'll automatically become the captain of the guards." The crowd started chattering again. "The young prince doesn't want to enter the arena. This isn't good for the Rozark family." Robel continued to laugh, becoming more and more proud of himself. "If the young prince doesn't want to fight, the Rozark family will have no choice but to make me the captain of the guards." He thought that since he was humiliating a prince of the Rozark family in public, he would be the most popular person in Dandelion City. He had never put on such a big show before. "Since you insist, I'll do as you wish," Cahir said quietly. 2 blue streams of air suddenly shot out from his feet, and he leapt onto the stage and into the arena, landing in front of Robel. Robel looked at him in disbelief. "Impossible. How can this be? Could it be that this young man isn't as useless and stupid as the rumors say?" he wondered. Cahir's expression didn't change much as he appeared in front of Robel. He stood with his hands clasped behind his back, and his purple robe billowing slightly in the breeze. He said lightly, "I'm here now. Aren't you going to make your move?" Robel came back to his senses when Cahir spoke. He thought he must have imagined what he had just seen. Either that, or his eyes were playing tricks on him. He scolded himself for being afraid of the foolish warrior. Gritting his teeth, he bowed slightly to Cahir before clenching one of his hands tightly into a fist and striking like a tiger. 3 hazy shadows appeared in the air in front of his fist, converging into a single point and then surging toward Cahir's chest. When the punch connected, Cahir shouted. He felt like he had been struck by lightning again, and his robe fluttered. But then cracks began to spread out from his feet across the stage, and the whole arena shook. The sound it made shocked everyone, including Robel. It sounded like bones breaking. The crowd watched, stunned, as Robel was hurled backwards, flying off the stage and falling heavily to the ground below the arena. On the stage, Cahir still stood upright, with his hands behind his back and his robe billowing in the wind. Robel struggled to stand up. He touched his chest gingerly, feeling like he had a few broken ribs. With wide eyes, he looked up at the figure on the stage. No one had clearly seen what had happened, but everyone knew that the foolish warrior of the Rozark family hadn't moved. He had sent Robel flying with only a shout. Even though they had seen it with their own eyes, it was hard to believe. All the chatter in the crowd stopped, as everyone watched the scene with their jaws hanging open in amazement. For those who had been mocking Cahir, it was like a slap in the face. It seemed like Cahir might have been able to practice martial arts after all. The other members of the Rozark family stared angrily at Cahir, thinking that he had been pretending all this time. Cahir looked away from Robel and turned to Zin, who was standing close to him. With his voice low, he said, "You guys continue, but I'm leaving now." He started to walk away. Following Cahir's departure, the entire stage shook again. In the place where Cahir had stood, the stage cracked and shattered, forming a big hole in the center of the arena. The people standing near the hole quickly retreated, looking at each other in amazement and disbelief.